our reviews and the steps that we've taken and will continue to take go to the heart of the kind of intelligence and homeland security we need in the 21st century. Just as Al-Qaeda and its allies are constantly evolving and adapting their efforts to strike us. We have to constantly adapt and evolve to defeat them, because as we saw on Christmas, the margin for error is slim and the consequences of failure can be catastrophic. As these violent extremists pursue new havens, we intend to target Al-Qaeda wherever they take root. Forging new partnerships to deny them sanctuary, as we are doing currently with the government in Yemen. As our adversaries seek new recruits. We'll constantly review and rapidly update our intelligence and our institutions. As they refine our tactics, we'll enhance our defenses, including smarter screening and security at airports. And investing in the technologies that might have detected the kind of explosives used on Christmas. In short, we need our intelligence, homeland security, and law enforcement systems and the people in them. To be accountable and to work as intended, collecting, sharing, integrating, analyzing. And acting on intelligence as quickly and effectively as possible to save innocent lives, not just most of the time, but all the time. That's what the American people deserve. As president, that's exactly what I will demand. Thank you very much. Barack Obama. Address on the American Recovery and Reinvestment Act's 7th anniversary. Delivered February 26, Jacksonville, Florida. Please, everybody please have a seat. It is great to be back in Jacksonville. I want to thank Jamie not only for the introduction, but more importantly, for your service to our nation. Thank you so much. I also want to recognize two outstanding members of Congress, W.A. Corinne We're here to talk about the great things you guys are doing at this facility. But before I begin, I do want to say a few words about yet another mass shooting that we've had to endure. Some of you may have heard, yesterday a gunman murdered 3 people and injured 14 others in Heston, Kansas. And this morning, I spoke with Mayor Kaufman and expressed our deepest condolences for the victims. Their families, and the community as a whole. This comes after last weekend's rampage in Kalamazoo. Michigan, where 6 more innocent Americans were gunned down. And these acts may not dominate the news today. But these are 2 more communities in America that are torn apart by grief. And I felt it was important for me to say something today because somehow, as I've said before, this becomes routine, these sort of mass shootings that are taking place. We cannot become numb to this. Anybody who says they want to keep the American people safe has to care about this. Because it's happening in far too many towns and affecting far too many innocent Americans. And there are some things we can do about it. And right now, This Congress may not have any appetite to do something about it, but we need one that does. As long as I hold this office, I'm going to keep on bringing this up. Even if it's not getting the same attention that it should. And I wish I didn't have to keep on talking about it. Lord knows I wish I didn't have to make these phone calls and comfort families. The real tragedy is the degree to which this has become routine. So I hope all of you pay attention to this. I hope the media pays attention to this. Once a week, we have these shootings. And it doesn't dominate the news, and that's got to change. So thank you for allowing me to talk about that for a moment. The truth is, though, that even when we've got some real challenges out there, the reason I'm here today is because Soft is telling a story about the amazing work that people all across this country have done to bring America back from one of the worst financial crises in our history. So think about it. Sometimes people also forget where we've been, and if you forget where you've been, sometimes you don't know where you need to go. "7 years ago, the ground we were standing on was an empty plot of swampland. I don't know if gators make it up this far." Laughter. But it was not some place you'd want to be wandering around. It had been ignored for more than a decade since the Navy base here closed. Back then, all around us, the economy was in a free fall. 800. 000 Americans were losing their jobs every single month. That's almost the entire population of Jacksonville joining the unemployment line every few weeks. Families lost their homes, families lost their savings. And people here in Florida were especially hard hit. The unemployment rate here in Florida hit 11.2%. Which was even higher than the national average. Fast forward today. Businesses like yours have created jobs for 71 straight months, 14 million new jobs overall. We've cut the unemployment rate by more than half. Nationally, the high was 10%, it's now down to 4.9%. And here in Jacksonville, it is even lower. Our auto industry just had its best year ever. We've created more than 900,000 new manufacturing jobs in the past 6 years. Meanwhile, our high school graduation rate is at an all-time high. Nearly 18 million Americans have gained health care coverage, although here in Florida, there are a whole bunch of folks who haven't because the state hasn't expanded Medicaid, but that's another topic. Businesses like Soft are leading a clean energy revolution that's creating jobs and making our planet safer and more secure at the same time. Now, you don't hear a lot about this from the folks who are on the campaign trail. They're spending all their time talking down America. I don't know when it became fashionable to do that. But I sure am proud of what I've seen Americans do over the course of these last 7 years since the crisis hit. And anybody who says we are not absolutely better off today than we were just 7 years ago, they're not leveling with you. They're not telling the truth. By almost every economic measure, we are significantly better off, and Florida is significantly better off. Jacksonville is a whole lot better off. And the reason I make this point is none of this was an accident. It happened because of your hard work. It happened because of your resilience. It happened because Americans looked out for one another, and families scrimped and saved. And workers retrained, and businesses hired and expanded, and students hit the books. And it happened because, early on, my administration put in place some pretty smart policies to rebuild our economy on a new foundation for growth and prosperity. And thanks to America's steady, persistent work, those policies are paying off in big. Tangible ways, and we're not talking about it enough. And if we don't talk about why it is that things got better, then we may end up pursuing policies that will make things worse. It's not to argue that everything is perfect. There are still folks who are looking for work. There are still problems in terms of people getting higher wages. Being able to save for college, being able to retire. But if we don't recognize the progress we've made and how that came about, then we may chase some snake oil and end up having policies that get us back in the swamp. So part of what made us able to recover was something called the Recovery Act, which I fought for from my first days in office. We just marked the 7th anniversary. And if you doubt that, you look around the world. Because in places like Europe, where they took a path of cutting, and not investing in clean energy. And not investing in transportation, and not investing in working retraining. Some of the same strategies that some politicians were arguing for right here in the United States. And are still arguing for. Those countries still have double-digit unemployment today. Some of these countries still face double-digit unemployment. We're doing better than them on almost every measure. Here's what the Recovery Act did. It cut taxes for businesses investing in the future. It cut taxes for 95% of working families, more than 100 million families in all. The extensions of some of these measures are still in effect. And they're helping more than 1 million families here in Florida making ends meet. We extended aid to help working people put food on the table, kept millions of people from falling into poverty. And that, in turn, meant that they could be customers at local businesses. And that helped support local businesses in the area. We helped states and communities keep hundreds of thousands of teachers and first responders on the job. Which meant they could afford to pay their mortgage. And they could afford to go to a restaurant once in a while. and they could afford to buy the computer that their child needed for school, all of which kept the economy going.